This is a 1966 Ford Bronco Roadster tribute vehicle. It is a dedicated roadster with no top and no doors.
I have owned the essence of this vehicle since 1991. When I say that, I bought this as a 77. In 1991, I replaced the original steel body with this body. It was a Kentrol fiberglass body, which I purchased and installed in 1992. Took me a little over a month. In 2000, I decided I wanted to drastically alter it. So I had the tube chassis built by KCD, Kilby Chassis Design in Tennessee. The body was taken off the original Ford frame and put on this 4130 chrome moly tube chassis. The engine, as it is now, was installed. Most of the work, major work, was done as it sits now between 2000 and 2003, when it was brought to Ohio and titled in 2003 as a self-assembled vehicle. The body was removed and painted in 2009, finished up in 2010. It is a base white PPG with intermediate pearl, and it has ghosted blue stars on the fenders going down the side. It looks yellow, but depends on the light. You can see it turns bluish, depending upon where the light source is. At that point, when the body was off and major changes were made in the body, all the major components were put on hydraulic actuators. And so everything is push button, trunk, hood, all. Dash was all painted at that point. Now this was assembled 2000 to 2003. It's pretty much remained as it is for that period of time. The gauges are all Autometer, Sport Comp. The speedometer is electronic. The gauges, walk around the other side, get a better view, I prefer mechanical for oil and water. That's kind of a fail-safe. You could tell it has a boost gauge, oil gauge, water, fuel pressure, voltage, and air-fuel ratio mixture gauge. I don't know how accurate that is at this point. My switches for that are there. There's a ratchet shifter in it. These are Baird seats that I had custom made in two-tone color. We'll go back to the engine was installed in 2003. Pause this. On a one-piece tilt nose, again all linear actuated with a button. This is a Keith Craft 302/30 over, or basically a 306 short block with trick flow heads and a Holley supercharger 174. It's they made these under a different name. This may have been a B&M when I bought it. They were in process of changing hands. The internals on it. The short block was assembled by Keith Craft. It's Eagle crank rod assemblies with various custom pistons to accommodate the blower. It's got about 4,000 miles on it, been performed flawlessly. Keith Craft has an excellent reputation for racing engines, and they were pretty good with probably more notable with Fords. High torque starter, 100 amp output alternator, Lumina radiator, Holley 780 boost referenced carburetor. This is all old school stuff. And walk around the other side here. Let me pause this. This, of course, is the driver's side. And a Woodwood master cylinder. It's got a Type 2 power steering pump that controls the Mustang 2 rack and pinion. All high dollar parts. Nothing on this thing was budget. You look, I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it up on the rack, and we're going to look underneath it. So, if there's any questions. This is sourced. All these parts were sourced from different places. It was not a kit car. It was a custom assembled vehicle. It's got a AOD transmission in it. It's hooked up to, you can't see it as well. I'll get it up on the rack. But as you can see, it's on linear actuators. And we go under on the other side. Sorry about all the jostling. The tailgate is also on linear actuators. It takes a little while to get that down, so I can take it all the way down. As you see in the back, it's when the frame was put on. I also had a 4130 chrome moly roll cage made for it, and it's bolted to the frame tied into the body. It's all been Raptor lined, tinted Raptor liner. Okay. As a now the tires need replaced because they are from 2002, I believe. Put them on in 2003, but I think the date code on them is 2002, and they need to be replaced. While I had the engine up, I didn't mention it, but the headers were custom made by an exhaust pro speed shop in Woodbridge, Virginia, and they've been powder coated and ceramic coated, I guess. Okay, let me get this thing up on the rack. Okay, and this is the underside view. This is all 4130 chrome moly. It's got sheet metal housings, 9-inch Ford. I don't remember if they're 488s or four. I think they're 488s or 457s. The rear's got both of them have posies in them. It's got 78 Bronco axles. It has a Mustang 2 rack and pinion. It's power. As you can see, on the underside of it, chrome oil pan, and let me slip under here. There. There's a reason for the rack and pinion. I've been challenged about this before. You cannot use hydraulic ram steering on a street vehicle. So there's that. Might have a few drips here and there. It's got about 4,000 miles on it. I have most of the drip comes from, that's a quick release, and it's always weeped. So after a period of time, it all ends up down here. Drive shaft was custom made. The B&M deepened oil pan was custom made, modified, I should say, to not hit the drive shaft. You can see all the lines and all the fittings that were put on it. A brake proportioning valve. Willwood. The exhaust that was recently replaced. When I say recently, within, let's say, I don't think I put a couple hundred miles on those. That one blew out, believe it or not. It is a Atlas II transfer case from the early 2000s. I polished that. There's a few nicks and chips in the frame, but that's very easily touched up. Batteries back here. Now, look at the, it's got a drive shaft emergency brake on it. It has Versailles, Lincoln Versailles disc brake conversion. That was the trick set up back in the early 2000s. And I was never happy with the way that the emergency brake worked. So I found that brake for the drive shaft, and that's what it got. Let me go back to the back. I don't know. Let's see. It has this fan is a cooler. It's a super cooler for the AOD transmission. And the Durali is an optional, it's plumbed into the engine to provide extra cooling like in traffic. I put that on there a couple of years ago, and it helps. Truck doesn't like sitting in traffic at all, but let's see, let me move a few things here so I can get it back here. Okay, closer look at the rear end. It all has custom bent stainless steel brake lines on it, and DOT approved stainless steel brake lines. Air motive pump. This is a Summit Racing. I hesitate because I'm trying to remember I'm doing this. I'm not scripting this. I just replaced this last year because the other one was kind of nasty. I drilled a hole in it. So I didn't want to. So I epoxied it, and it lasted for a long time, but I was done with that. It obviously has a nice pump and filter in it. It supplies this engine. The engine runs on about 11 pounds of boost. It's got a smaller party pulley on it from, this may have been B&M when I bought it. I don't know if I could find the any of the dates on the tires, but let's see, not right off. But like I said, they look really good. They've never been out in the sun, so they're not checked. But okay, the underside, when I had the body off of it to paint it, the underside was insulated for sound and for heat. Seems to do a pretty good job. I mean, this truck is just flat loud anyway. It's painless wiring, and can't think of anything else. Got a nice Optima battery and it's not very old. And so that's pretty much it underneath here. I think the next thing I'm going to do is get it back down, start it up, and do a cold start. Because the tires are so old, I hesitate to do a whole lot of driving on it. I'm going to take it to Good Guys, I think, this weekend, just because I'm trying to sell it. And but I will probably won't go over 55 with these tires. Not that that's would be a fun speed to try and recover from, but okay, let me let this down. It was not a cold startup. It was warm, but it basically starts pretty easily, mostly in the summertime because there's no choke on it. So you have to pump it, start it several times before it finally will be warm enough to idle on its own. Again, I'd have to get the GoPro mounted on this to be able to do a drive around with it, but it's a rocket. That's what you're wondering. It is a rocket. I've had a G meter on it, and it'll generate 1 G, and it'll do 0 to 60 in like about 4.5 seconds. So it runs good. If I do take this out for a drive around, I'll do it. I'll mount the GoPro on it, take it out. I think I've got like 1, maybe 2 GoPro videos already up, but they're not recent. One of them is from 2004 and one's from 2010. So although I haven't, with 4,000 miles on it, I just haven't driven it all that much. And the reason why I'm going to sell it is I can't take care of it and enjoy it like I used to. It's too hard for me to get in and out of with all the things that come along with age. I can't do this. Another thing I didn't point out, a lot of this stuff I had custom made, and the steering column surround is one of them, as is the panel that has the AOD gauges on it, both temperature and TV line pressure. Like I did for this video, I'm trying to link them all together, but that's it for now.